Hello, everyone. Mark here, Mark's Max Muscle, and we have a very special fan request for this guy here. That's right, I tracked you down on Instagram. I was talking to this guy yesterday over at Desktop Bodybuilding, starring Xavier Wells, and I told him that James Hollingshead was going to win the Tsunami Pro. Boy, was I wrong. He told me if that James Hollingshead won, that he would give me $5. So I lost the bet. I told him that I would do him a comparison. And it was this one. Francis Benfatto versus Lee Labrada. And you know what? This is an outstanding comparison. So without further ado, let's go to the mandatory shots. Front double bicep pose. Now when it comes to 1980s athletes, 80s, late 80s, early 90s for both of these guys, you're going to have to take what you can get as far as picture quality is concerned. You're not going to be able to track down an 87 Lee Labrada or an 88, 89, what have you. It is take what you can get, like I said. And these are two photo shoots. Very similar are these bucks. Wow, very similar. The arms? I'd given an advantage to Francis Benfatto. The Flamoof mullet? Plamoof? Floofadoof, poofadoof. Mullet goes to Benfatto, absolutely. V-taper as well. I think Labrada has an edge in the wheels. Hard to really suggest, isn't it? Now, when I say there's an edge, that's just a small little minute, my opinion. My opinion on the detail of the physiques. Nobody's really winning. Nobody's dominating. So based off the front pose, the first front shot anyway, we have a tie game. Now go to the front lat spread. I thought we were going to hand Lee Labrada an easy win on this one. Because I'm sure we're all familiar with his repertoire of poses. The front lat spread being one of the better ones. But dare I say, this Francis Benfatto has to be one of the most underrated bodybuilders of all time compared to his placings. I mean, he placed terrible, but his physique, he has an underrated physique. I can tell you that, because he is beating Lee Labrada with a similar type physique, aesthetically pleasing, but with not a very similar placing as far as their, Lee Labrada getting second place at the Olympia. Second prize, as I say, time and time again. Francis Benfatto, what did he get, eighth? Eighth one time, something like that, maybe. Here is the turn to the side, and I can hear you guys now. You Lee Labrada love hairs. Mark's Max Muscle, you select terrible pictures of Lee Labrada. This is the best, the finest side chest picture that I could find of him. Ditto with that front lat spread. Hey, I agree. He was probably at his all-time best, arguably in like 93. Even though he didn't place the best, he placed not bad, but he got second earlier on in his career. Now Francis, like I said, he got eighth. I just looked it up. I did. I didn't want to look a fool. He placed sixth, and then he placed seventh, 90 and 91. So food for thought. Never really had a prime, so to speak. What do I mean by that? Well, he's probably winning the side chest too, by the way. Francis Benfatto's running wild all over Lee Labrada. Here's the side tricep. Now, what do I mean? He never had a prime? Well, the aesthetic age was kind of over when Francis Benfatto hit the scene. I guess he kind of hit the scene right around the same time Labrada did, but he caught the tail end of Lee Haney, and it was an aesthetic guy or a condition guy that was placing second, and he was just so happened to be at the right place, right time. Francis Benfatto, you can see here, this is years later. This is well into the 2000s. He's an old timer here, but he's still good. He's still very good. In fact, we will look at least one of the two back shots will be of this here version. So take it for what it is. You can't really take this one seriously, guys. But if you do, and you were going vote for vote, or pose for pose, rather, Lee Labrada, He is easily winning the side tricep. What a good pose for Lee. Wow. Like father, like son. Is Hunter Labrada? Does he not have a good side tricep? I think he does. I think he does. Now here's the back. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something right now. This is a pan back picture of Labrada. Takes away a little bit of the size and a lot of the impact. So I've done enough comparisons. I've seen enough photos to be able to fill in the blanks. Like 5'6" over the power of X equals whatever. You got to figure out what X is. And the X is the... You guys don't even listen to me when I talk about like stuff like that, do you? But either way, I'm filling in the blanks here, and when I do, I see two exactly the same rear lat spreads. That was a huge, big explanation to just say something so simple. I think Labrada might have an edge in the traps. Could be. Both very conditioned in the glutes. I know, who cares about steroided glutes? Well, the IFBB judges do. They really do. So, I don't know. Very close here. Here's the back double biceps. And this is the older version of Benfatto. I think he was more conditioned in the more modern one. That was the rear lat spread. That was in the 2000s. He was an old timer by then. Just a young man here. You know, they did not judge the glutes. So they didn't train them or they didn't show them. For goodness sakes. But the back development, very similar, just like the rear lat spread. If I had to guess, I think Benfatto has a little nicer of a back. Lat insertions, things of that nature, stuff of that such. But I would give an edge on condition to Lee Labrada. Perhaps. Here's the abs and thigh. Nice little shot for both of these gentlemen. Benfatto, he has an edge in terms of shape, overall aesthetics, if you can believe that one, against Hunter Labrada, or Lee Labrada. That was a terrible mistake. But either way, I would give an edge on the muscle and the condition, the muscle mass and the condition of that said muscle to Mr. Labrada. Lee, not Hunter Labrada. Did I make that mistake earlier? Sometimes I second guess myself, and then other times I just think, don't worry, Mark. Your mistakes are charming. They're charming. And here is a great way to end this one off with. Very similar muscle attachments, everything. Slight torn pec, I believe, on Benfatto. Got a little worse, I think. Or maybe he tore it again, even worse. So, having said that, my ultimate response is Benfatto. His head's a little bit bigger than Lee Labrada's, and he has more of a poof-a-doof haircut. And Lee Labrada, he's minus a stash here. Isn't that funny? He should always have a stash, but to be serious, has the muscle mass to compete with the top of the top, which leads me to believe that he would be a little more massive than Benfatto. Even though I like the muscle attachments, the abs. Arms not as big, but man, that beautiful shape. Unreal. Two guys right here that would be competing in the men's classic physique division, I would suggest. Could be 212. You don't know. You don't know if they were born at a different timeline. Hit thumbs up on the video. And Todd, you can consider this debt paid in full. There's also another channel called Project Bodybuilding, starring Dylan. That's what it is. Dylan. Have a great one, folks.